Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. So today's video is just going to be a short Q&A just so you can get to know me in the car a little bit more and just introduce myself really. So to jump straight in, my name's Sophie, I'm from the UK, specifically Yorkshire. I'm 21 years old. This Land Rover is a 110 300 TDI county station wagon. So question number one. How long have I had my Land Rover? I've had it since November of 2018. I actually got it just before my birthday. Question number two, are those genuine door stickers? No, unfortunately not. The previous owner did actually replace them, but the genuine stickers are still underneath. I have no idea what condition they're in. I am hoping to replace the stickers that he put on though, just because they are getting a little ratty and a little bit rough around the edges. The next question is, what year is the 110? It's an R-Edge 1998, same year that I was born. So what was the first car that I ever drove? It was actually the Discovery 2 that we have in the family. That is the first car that I ever drove. So how much is the insurance? Is it cheap? Is it expensive? I never like to give exact figures when it comes to car insurance just because everybody is so different. And bearing in mind, mine was quite expensive because this is the first car that I've had after passing my test. So I never had insurance or anything like that before on a vehicle. So with Land Rovers, especially like Defenders, 110s, 90s, anything earlier than that, you have to bear in mind that these are vehicles that, you know, have a high risk of being stolen and things like that. So you kind of have to take a lot of things into consideration. The older that you get, obviously the easier it is, and if it's not your first car, then it's going to be a lot cheaper. But it depends really. Mine was quite expensive. So what started my passion for all things Land Rover? So what started it was probably when I was younger. I've always been fascinated with cars. I absolutely loved Transformers when I was younger. I had all the action figures, all the films, all the cartoons, all the episodes, everything. I was absolutely obsessed. So it just come from an early age really. I always I enjoyed monster trucks and things like that. I've always been that way inclined. Like I've never been sort of like a sporty car lover. I've always liked my utility vehicles and they've always just fascinated me. So I got into Land Rover because I started going to shows and initially I was introduced to Discovery. So it were like early Discoveries that I was just absolutely fascinated by. I couldn't believe that these were like normal vehicles that you could have on the road, but then you could just go absolutely anywhere with them, and I was just completely blown away. And I absolutely loved going to the shows. I've been going for years. And then I just I progressed more into Land Rover, started seeing like what else they made, how it were made, and then it just absolutely blew up from there. And I wanted one, and here we are. So why a Defender? Again, I was introduced to Discovery, always wanted a Discovery, still do want a Discovery, don't get me wrong. But yeah, I just like the heritage behind them, the transcendent of the original Land Rover, and I really like that. I love all the heritage behind it and the history. I love that they're a utility vehicle. They're so easy to work on yourself. The engines are so simple. I've heard a lot of people actually start with Land Rover engines because they're so simple. I just like everything about them. Everything's like the bare bones of just what you need, and you can go anywhere from there really. You can absolutely customise it, make it your own. You can do anything. I mean, essentially everything's just bolted onto a onto a chassis, isn't it? So the options are absolutely endless, and I really adore that about these models specifically. So why is the Defender called Gareth? I always get asked this. So it's all of our cars have names. I mean, not the only ones that do it, so I don't find it strange. But we always call Land Rovers by the letter G. It's like a family tradition. So we've got Gregory the Discovery 2. So it were only fitting that obviously Gareth was called Gareth, like he named himself really. But yeah, that's why. Just to add to that, it's probably the sound of the engine as well, because it's like a really rough and tough sound, and I think Gareth just sounds like a tough name. So what is the next lot of work that needs doing? So the next lot of work could probably be just more restoration things. So like it does need a respray. The lacquer on the roof and the top of the bonnet is just shot, like all the lacquer's started peeling off and things like that, so it does ideally need a respray. The rear door needs replacing because it can't even hold a spare wheel anymore. But it's just sort of little nitpicky things really. after that. So like obviously the rear windows need retinting, and just general maintenance really. It's not going to be like heavily modified or anything like that. It will be kept completely standard. So would I engine swap the 110? No. The 300 TDI was the engine of choice for this one, and it'd be a shame really, because we searched for 2 years to try and find the perfect 110 300 TDI county station wagon, like in Epsom Green specifically. So to sort of, it'd be, I don't know, in my head it'd kind of ruin it, to put another engine in, especially when there's nothing wrong with this one. So no, I won't be engine swapping. What colour is the Land Rover? It is Epsom Green. I always get asked about my dog as well. His name is Laddie. He's a mixed breed. I don't know what he is. We think he's like a white shepherdy lurcher sort of mix. I honestly have no idea what he is. He's cracking on a bit now. He's nearly 13, so yeah, he does alright for an old timer. So it's the Land Rover an everyday car? Absolutely not. No, it's literally just a leisure vehicle. That's all that this car is, just to go off-roading and adventuring and things like that. No, I actually use a BMW 3 Series for an everyday car for work and other bits, and going to Asda, and yeah. So, Discovery 1 or Discovery 2, and it's completely down to everyone's preference, but my preference personally would be a Discovery 1, just because I absolutely would kill for a Discovery 1. That is the next Land Rover that I want, but I have absolutely nothing against Discovery 2 at all. Again, it's completely down to preference. I do really adore the TD5 engine in the Discovery 2, but again, it depends on what sort of route you want to go down. Discovery 1 is very much mechanical and simple and easy to fix, but they suffer with a lot of corrosion, like the bodies tend to rot. Discovery 2, I mean the chassis tends to go, like the rear on the chassis, and electronic issues with Discovery 2, so yeah, it'd have to be Discovery 1 for me. Am I going to any shows this year? Absolutely. The one that I'm looking forward to the most is obviously going to be LRO. It is every time. It's what got me into Land Rovers, is LRO, so that is the one that I will definitely be at 100%, come rain or shine. What is my opinion on Cairn? I really don't like Cairn Land Rovers. I think they look really garish, so that is my opinion really, summed up in a nutshell. I don't really like them, to be quite honest. I think they look a bit ruined. Sorry. Why a 110 over a 90? I do want a 90, don't get me wrong, I would absolutely love one. But a 110 had to come first, just because there's a lot more space, like you get the second row of seats and things like that. It's not just like the front and the tub. So yeah, just for more space really. The overall look of it, I mean, specifically wanted a 110 300 TDI, so you know it fits the bill. But again, nothing against 90s or 130s, just the 110 had to come first. So things to look for when buying a Land Rover. So it's not going to be something that I'm getting into too much in this video, just because I am making other videos about what to look for on like utility Land Rovers, on Discovery, on things like that. So it's not going to be something that I'll get into now. But general bits to look for is obviously corrosion. So look structurally, as it got big holes in the bulkhead, you know, things like that. You want to check the chassis. If you bang it with a hammer, it's not all going to fall apart, you know. Just things like that really, you know, you have to be so observant, and especially with utility Land Rovers, there's not really a lot of places that corrosion can hide. Like, pull up the carpets, have a good look around, don't just take it at face value. With Discoveries, again, check on the Discovery 1s, check boot floors, check hatches. Discovery 2, check the chassis, you know, just you'll find like lots of different information about what you should and shouldn't check. And again, I will be making, you know, a whole other video surrounding this, because it is such a large topic. I couldn't possibly cover it all today in such a short video. So yeah, stay tuned for that. It is coming. But yeah, it's general, you know, just make sure it's structurally sound, mechanically, listen to the engine. Does it sound healthy? It's not blowing out great big puffs of black smoke. And just have a good feel around. Like, if there's nothing wrong or the owner's not hiding something, they'll have no problem with you sort of crumpling around and, you know, checking under carpets and things like that, and, you know, giving the chassis a bash. So again, just look out for, you know, little key things like that. So next question, am I bothered about defender theft? Absolutely. Any bang in the night and I'm looking out the window making sure it's still there. It is one of the probably negatives to owning one, is you're not entirely sure if it's going to be there in the morning. So with security, I don't advertise what I've got because that would be daft. So if you do have security or trackers, don't be revealing where they are or what security you have on it. But the more the better really, especially if you're going to be leaving it for a longer period of time. It just gives people more chance to steal parts of it or steal the whole vehicle. So if you can sort of lock up anything visible, that's brilliant. You can buy specialist like hinges to go in the doors so you can't slide them out. So even if they do unlock them, you can't just unbolt them from the outside anymore. So you can get things like that, but again, it's like a whole other video. And there's so much information out there, and there's just so much information out there about like theft and how to keep your Land Rover safe. But generally, keep them blocked in, keep them secure. Don't just buy one and sling it on the drive and hope for best, because it might be targeted. We have had a Discovery stolen and burnt out, so it's not uncommon and it's not, too far away from you. So just make sure you double check absolutely everything and get loads of security on it. That is what I'd say. Do I have any other interests? So apart from working and working on the cars, it's probably things like cooking. I really like baking and things like that. I try to stay active, go swimming, and that's it really. So the next question is obviously like fuel consumption, what MPG I get and things like that. So I get around 25 to 30 MPG. It completely depends on what you're doing. So I wouldn't say it's the most expensive car in the world to run by any stretch of the imagination. Like, it is quite good, and it all depends on how you are as a driver and what you use it for. So if you do a lot of like intercity driving, your MPG is not going to be as good. But again, I only use this as a leisure vehicle. I don't use it every day, so I couldn't give an exact example of like what MPG you'd get, say, if you used it for work every day and things like that. But for what I use it for green laning, for camping and caravanning and going to shows and doing leisurely things, it generally does quite good. By no stretch of the imagination is it the most expensive car to run. But yeah, just be mindful that obviously they are quite big, heavy vehicles, so you are going to use more fuel. Just be mindful of what they are, because they're not really built to be efficient in that sort of way. So yeah, you can't be expecting too much from them, but obviously if they're getting really bad MPG, you should probably start, looking as to why. So that is just a little short introduction, just to answer a couple of questions, and just so you guys can get to know me a little bit more. But I will be making more Q&As in the future. Other videos are coming out, so if you have any questions, obviously you can drop me a message, leave a comment, or go over to my Instagram, which is linked in the description, and you can send me a message there as well. But thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next time.